Hello, welcome to episode 105 of the Not Joanna Eggs podcast. This week, Tracy and I are talking about the 2006 Animal Crossing movie. It was never released in the West, but we found out about it and we thought it'd be a good time to check it out, especially given the sort of rampant popularity of New Horizons. So, thank you as always for listening. Enjoy.
Everybody, welcome to another episode of the Not Joanna Eggs podcast. I'm Tracy.
And I'm Robin.
And we are talking about a... I don't really know the best way to really describe this. It's not really a tie-in film, but it's certainly related to a property that we have been currently playing a lot of, which is Animal Crossing. Mm-hmm. And this is in reference to the 2006 film. I think the original name was Dobutsu no Mori, but it's just the Animal Crossing movie, basically.
Yeah.
It was never released in English. It's pretty much only in Japan, but you can find it online with English subtitles. I guess this was supposed to be a tie-in for like roughly about a year after Animal Crossing Wild World had came out, which was on the DS. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's an extremely short film. It's like maybe 85 minutes, roughly.
Yeah, I think it's right around there.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 87 minutes. But yeah, to say it's a low stakes movie is I guess pretty accurate. It's literally just a slice of life kind of thing. So.
Yeah, it was literally like, it is definitely like just a slice of life movie in Animal Crossing world, and that's fine, right?
Yeah.
Like it's fun, and like I think there's some aspects of it. I think in some ways it would be a lot more fun in a series format, because I think they could really tease some of the ideas they have in the movie out a little bit more.
Yeah, I would have liked to see that is like if this had been like a short run series, like maybe 12 episodes. I think that would have been a lot more fun. And then like the time, or I mean, admittedly, it's a short film, but there is something to be said about the pacing, because like we do go from basically summer to fall to winter within a 3-minute span, which is a bit fast.
Well, but one thing that like, so let's do the very like bare bones
super abridged story. Yeah.
So it's basically an 11-year-old girl named Ai moves to Animal Village, and just kind of like starts living there. As she's living there, she makes friends with a cat named Bouquet, an elephant named Sally.
Yeah, she's named Sally. We know her as Margie in the West, but her name
we'll
is
get
Sally.
to
yeah.
And
we'll
Bouquet
get to
is Rosie.
difference.
We'll get to that stuff later. But she makes friends with Bouquet and Sally a little bit with Bianca, who there is a Bianca in the English. This is not the same Bianca, which is confusing.
Yeah, and they did the same thing with the monkey too. That's his name is Champ, but he has a different name in Japan, because Champ in Japan is Mac for us, who is the jock villager dog. So it's very confusing. Like they tend to reuse a lot of similar names for some reason. Yeah. But
she makes friends with them, and then she also makes friends with the only other human there, Yu, who is kind of like an obnoxious little dude.
Spelled Y-U, who's pretty much always dressed in different costumes. Like, I guess they had a ninja thing at once. He's seen as a pirate. He's seen as a caveman. Like, he really leans into the cosplay aspects of Animal Crossing.
He is 100%. I mean, that's very much me in Animal Crossing.
Oh my God, me too.
You. I change outfits.
I was a cop today.
I haven't played yet today, so. But so there's them, and then there's his little alligator friend whose name escapes me right now.
I think his name is Alfonso in the English version.
Yes,
so I guess we can just call him that.
Yeah, so it's their adventures in this town. At one point, Sally leaves to pursue her dream of being a designer, which causes the most conflict that exists in this movie.
That's it. Like, that's literally it.
That's it. And then
except for Mr. Rossetti, who does exist in this, but he's
not really a conflict character. He just yells.
Like,
I love him.
He just shows up
so fucking much. Oh
I
my
wish
God.
that they had him in New Horizons, because there's no one yelling at you to save, because you should be saving constantly. But,
well, it auto saves.
Yeah. Oh, well, that, or like whenever you end your session, you can also just choose to save and quit and stuff. But Yeah, I mean, like, it is a little bit sad that he's not there.
Yeah.
Because I thought he was hilarious in this. Like, he
Yeah,
just
he's
shows up
great.
and yells at her for falling into Apollo's flower bed.
Screams. He's so good.
It's awesome.
And then aliens show up.
Yeah.
And then the movie's over. And I wish...
Yeah.
I wish I were joking, but that is kind of what it feels like. You're like... So, like, once Sally leaves, you're just kind of, like, adrift in this movie for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then aliens show up, and then Sally shows up again, and then the movie ends. And you're like, all right.
Yeah, and I do want to mention that, just for context, just because obviously there's been quite a few Animal Crossing games. The first one I played was New Horizons, which is the one that just came out this year, 2020. Robin, do you have any other previous exposure to previous Animal Crossing games?
Yeah, so I played New Leaf, oh my god, back in, like, 2013, 2014-ish, whenever that was out.
Oh, yeah.
On the 3DS. Because it was a good way to spend time at my stupid calendar job. And it was also a great way to relax when not at said stupid calendar job.
It's fair. But yeah, like I wanted to mention that just because some of these game mechanics have become, I don't want to say outdated, but they just kind of stopped doing it. So apparently UFOs did used to be a thing within, it was Wild World, and then I forget what the other game was, but they did it for 2 consecutive games. So there was the first game that was on the GameCube in the US that came out in 2001, and then Wild World was the sequel to it in 2005. This movie came out in 2006, and then the other subsequent games happened. So at that point, the UFO was a game mechanic that was featured in this, because for the most part, like Animal Crossing, it has had very similar game mechanics, like the getting fruit, fish, selling stuff, all that. But
yeah, all that stuff's present. Some mechanics that they cut out. So we see, like, basically, obviously this movie wants to include, like, all the mechanics in some way or another. So you see Sahara at one point. She doesn't really do anything.
So cute.
She is cute.
I just like seeing her there.
Tom Nook's in there for all about 5 minutes.
With his weird, like, hands that look like they're out of Night in the Woods. That was a little strange.
Yeah, that was a little
odd.
odd.
Him having the little, like, tapered, like, fat baby arm thing.
Yeah, I
like,
love
those
everyone
are cuter
having.
For him.
I just love the nubs.
Yeah, the nubs are good.
I
the
also
nubs are quality.
It's also, someone made this joke about him in New Leaf, as he seems to have expanded in his time, and she's like, I think he just, like, sits around in his shop and he's gained weight.
Pretty much. I mean, well, like, if you know anything about tanukis, they're just like raccoons in that they will just ravenously eat whatever they can get. So
yeah, I mean,
it's not shocking, you know.
Yeah.
But
so you see Tom Nook, you get Gulliver, who in this. So this is a mechanic that exists now, but has changed. So Gulliver shows up in a spaceship near the end of the movie.
Yeah, he's this seagull that had. He's either a sailor or an astronaut, depending on the game, basically.
Yeah, basically. So they kept him in the game, but he used to give you space-based items in the past.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Or like,
Yeah.
I remember seeing those things before.
Yeah, that's what I had read. They also have, I forgot his name suddenly, the otter, who is honestly one of my favorites in retrospect.
Oh, God, I don't remember what his name is, but I can look it up.
He's another one I wish he's one I wish still existed in the game, just because conceptually he's very funny. He, like, shows up, says
Pascal.
something weird. Pascal.
Yeah, Pascal.
He, like, shows up, says something weird, gives you a thing, and then pieces out.
He just
and, like,
jumps
that's
into
it.
He jumps into the ocean. He's
Yeah.
like, bye.
Yeah, and I think, like, no, because there's a different character who does the fishing tournaments, but...
Oh, okay. Oh, no, that's CJ. Yeah, but I think
so in
CJ 's
previous
the
games...
beaver.
Yeah, in previous games, it's a different beaver.
Oh, okay.
Who, like, the fan theory is that it's his dad.
Oh.
And it probably is.
Probably, yeah.
And so, other things they include are Wendell the Walrus, who, I guess in previous games, would just, like, show up in your town, be very hungry, and if you gave him food, he would give you, like, a carpet or wallpaper or something.
So it's like they took Sahara and Wendell and put them together. But he's a drifter, I guess. Oh, and I guess, well, here, it looks like he's supposed to be, he sells patterns or something.
Yeah, so at some point he does that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I guess
Mostly,
he,
it
like,
was just nice seeing him there because he keeps...
yeah, I just really liked him.
I like that I just kept giving him, like, so many, like, the onigiri rice balls.
Yes.
I was like, that must have taken you, like, 2 hours to make all those damn things.
Yeah, seriously. It's so funny.
Oh, that's silly. But, yeah, because I wish that we were more familiar with some of those characters and everything, but, like, honestly, I generally had no idea about some of them, so...
No, I was just happy. Like, I was very excited to see some of the villagers I recognized.
Oh yeah, like when we were watching them, we called them out. We're like Pelly, like.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I was so happy to see Pete and Pelly and Phyllis. Because I love them all. I wish Phyllis had a little more to say because she's such a coos in the games, and it's so funny. Like, if you're doing like, I think it's in New Leaf. If you're like doing the cry reaction near her, she'll just be in the background laughing at you.
What a bitch.
I know. It's so great.
That's awesome. Oh, and
but
also
yeah,
seeing,
and then you get
seeing your boy KK Slider, of course.
Seeing KK Slider was great, especially because his voice, he speaks like a person, so he's like, you just hear him, "Hello, I am KK Slider. Welcome to my show. If you have a song you want to hear, please shout it out." And so they shout out the song they want, and they start singing it. Just
it's so great.
Because
it's like you go from hearing like he's got this very like dulcet, like almost like a J-pop like voice or something, and he's just like, "Oh yes, I can do that," and then it's like,
into the standard. It's really funny.
We were watching this with Angus and Meekly the first time we checked it out, and like we all started laughing because we're just like, what are they gonna do? And they're like, oh no, of course, like it's iconic. You have to have his singing voice like that.
The one that killed me, the one that really got me though, was so one of the threads throughout this movie that escaped me the first time I watched it was I keeps finding these bottles with messages in them saying like, oh, you should plant these trees in this pattern and like a miracle will happen during the Festival of the Winter Star, whatever they call it. And so she does, and then at the end a UFO shows up and Tracy's like, I bet it's gonna be Gulliver, that fucking asshole, or something like that. And he just pops out and we're like, motherfucker. Like we're not prepared for that.
I mean, just because we genuinely didn't know, because that is what he does in this
game
and
it's like
the
what
following
he
one.
used
But I
to
was
do.
like, it shouldn't be Gulliver, but it is. So fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
so
I guess like they never really announced in like New Horizons whether or not if he's still technically a sailor. He's dressed as a sailor, but he easily could have just been on a spaceship and just didn't want to wear the uniform that they gave him. Who knows?
Yeah, I just
he's
love
an
the
individual.
idea.
Fuck it.
I just love the idea that he's an alien who dresses like a sailor, and that's like a goofy thing he does.
It's just
and
his
like
thing.
the reason he gives you like these weird like he gives you like international items, and some of them are like, here's Stonehenge, and it's like, why do you have this?
Yeah, I keep getting I'll usually get like little monument things or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like it's usually just like knickknacks, but they tend to be a little bit more expensive. So stuff that you can't rebuy later. So.
Yeah, exactly. I think he gave me a sombrero once.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, fine.
Thanks,
I'll
Gulliver.
put this on my wall, I guess.
But like that, it just totally threw me for a loop because it still has the same thing of like all the villagers are enlisted to help try to find the missing pieces of his ship simultaneously while attempting to retrieve this enormous fossil that like we see earlier in the movie when I is making a delivery to the museum that there's this one dinosaur called Sizomosaurus that was missing from there. And lo and behold, they managed to find it within these caverns that are somewhere underneath the island, and they're trying to figure out a way to excavate them.
It's like in a cave off the shore or something like that.
Yeah, it's like a little cliffside area, whatever it is. But, but you know, like of course they find it when they're going on a little treasure hunt thing together. And Celeste is like, she's like the cutest thing I've ever seen.
I love her so much.
She's so great, especially in this movie. She's so cute because she like. In like kind of a sort of a diss way to Blathers, who is her brother that manages the museum. She's just like, once someone starts him talking, he just doesn't stop. She's like, so what are you trying to find? And yeah, it's just like, she's just so freaking cute.
It's so great. She's just like, just just walk away. He won't notice.
It's fine. It's okay. This happens all the time.
I love it so much.
I mean, it definitely feels like it's very spiritually, or not spiritually, that it's obviously very like tied to the franchise. Like it's a very chill, very relaxed kind of movie.
Oh yeah.
There are some tendencies towards melodrama, like the whole thing that happened with Sally and I thought was kind of dumb because I don't know.
Yeah, I think again that's one of the again we talked about the idea of this is like a 12 episode series.
Yeah.
I think that kind of moment would have worked better there because it feels very like sudden and immediate.
Yeah, like they wanted to go
Sally...
for some kind of big emotional story beat, but the problem is that we really haven't gotten to know these characters long enough to feel the impact that it would really have on their relationship. Like, obviously, like, she's young, and this is, like, the closest friend that she has on the island, basically. Well, her and Bouquet, I guess, but, or Rosie, in English-speaking countries. But no, it's, like, that whole thing, and there's this weird, like, cherry pie metaphor that I guess...
Yeah, I didn't follow that whole thing.
I didn't get it either. Like, I assumed that it was supposed to be a metaphor for, like, following your dreams or, like, this movie keeps hammering home this idea of believing in yourself. Like, even to the point where there's, like, the emotional low point where I goes to the coffee bar and she is just like, basically she's upset because Sally had not told her that she was going to be moving, which is like, if that happened between one of my friends, like I would be pretty upset too. Like if I was that close with them,
and
like you would think that your friends would usually just say like, oh, by the way, I've accepted a job elsewhere. Or, like I'm going to pursue this thing. I'm going to move. I just want to let you know.
Exactly.
Like why wouldn't she say that? Like it was such a preventable thing because she already made a letter anyway.
Yeah, well, she, like, basically what we find out is that Sally didn't mention anything because she herself wasn't sort of emotionally sure how to handle that moment.
Yeah, because
which is
like if she saw I cry, then maybe she would start second guessing it or something. I don't know.
Well, I don't know, right? Like I think in some ways that's like a really well written thing in the sense that like these characters aren't exactly adults.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's definitely a tough emotion to deal with, you know, us being, like, people who've had to deal with that.
Yeah.
Pretty recent, like, moderately recently.
Well, no, yeah, because it's like you want to be happy for someone, especially if they're making a big decision that will hopefully be bettering their lives. But the issue with it is that, like, usually if you have that kind of understanding with a friend, then they would want to tell you what's going on. But obviously, that's not the same emotional intelligence thing that's going on right now.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, you know, avoiding difficult emotions, not uncommon. But
yeah.
I definitely think it's something that the way that it was written feels too hasty.
Yeah, and Bianca didn't have to fucking laugh at her at the cafe. I was like, why are you being such
Bianca
a cunt
was
right
being
now?
kind of a big coos there. I was like, all right.
I
know your whole deal is like
she's 11, you hag. Leave her alone. Of course she's upset.
I know you're very into the like whole like ladylike thing, but like calm down with your
like ladies do
British
cry.
upper
Ladies
lip.
cry when their reservations have been canceled accidentally due to a wedding party. Okay.
Yeah, big girls.
That's when
do
ladies cry.
Big girls.
Big girls
do cry.
Strong men also cry, Mr. Lebowski.
I just love that song.
I also love Big Girls Don't Cry. It's a good one. That song is a bop. Next time I'm going to be able to do karaoke in 2050, I'll do it there.
Yeah.
But I'm deeply sad. But no. So like I mean, I think in general, I wish that they had given it a little bit more time and let us to really kind of appreciate the relationships between the characters. Because like you get a fairly decent sense of who they are, but we don't get that emotional bond because I is basically supposed to be the self-insert, like like main player character.
Yeah,
or whatever.
She's very much like the stand-in for the player character.
Yeah, I mean, like even to the fact that like the instant that she moves there, Tom Nook puts her ass to work.
Yeah,
doing like, you owe me some goddamn
shit.
money. Get out there and work.
Get out there and make that paper.
Oh God.
Oh, I want to talk briefly about the fucking penguin.
Oh, Jesus. His name's Hopper, I think.
Yeah, he's Hopper in English. And he literally, the entire movie is just sitting in the same spot fishing.
Even as the seasons change. So we don't know if he's gotten up to poop or to shower or eat something. He's just always there, constantly fishing, trying to get something. And it's always trash, basically.
Yes. He pulls up, although he pulls up like a moai head at one point.
Yeah, he pulls up one of the Easter Island heads. He pulls up a bicycle. He pulls up a boot. I'm pretty sure.
He does pull up a boot. Well, it's scaling,
Hopper,
right?
Just,
so he gets
just move, just move to another area to go fishing.
You can fish in a different spot, my man.
You're adjacent to the ocean, my man. Just go there.
Is there a reason you want river fish? Are you missing a loach somehow?
Somehow, what? There aren't enough black bass in there for you? I don't know. Maybe he prefers the river fish, but
he's searching for the elusive char.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh dude, I got a cherry salmon the other day. I was like, yes, finally.
I was very happy when I caught a banded dragonfly the other day because I hadn't caught one yet.
I'll have to keep an eye out for those. But anyway, sorry, I don't want to brag too much about our catches.
Let's not just sit here and talk about how much we love Animal Crossing.
Yeah, because
game.
We do. But but honestly, I would love to see this either turn into a sequel or if they made a new version of it for kind of how the Pokemon series has always been adapting to the new generations and stuff. I think that would be really cool because I like the sort of feel of how chill everything is in the new Horizons version, especially the idea of having they could make it like a big adventure series with the inclusion of the airplanes. I think that's awesome. Being able to go to different islands and shit, that would be so fun.
Yeah, and I think that's something, I agree, I would love to see them do, another Animal Crossing movie, and, I don't know, maybe release it in the West.
That would
be cool.
I mean, look, I'm not above, just trying to find this thing online, but it would be nice to be able to do it a bit less skeezily, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or, an official release, Nintendo, but...
yeah, well, I get it, right, because Animal Crossing really only broke big in the West with New Leaf, and New Horizons now has blown New Leaf out of the water.
It's unbelievable. They could not have picked a better time to launch that game because it's now the best-selling Switch game in Japan ever, and it's just
the circumstances of its release were very fortuitous for Nintendo.
Yeah, because they could not have unless they predicted there would be a pandemic, and they're like, we got to push this up. But I don't think that they would have that kind of foresight.
Well, that's the thing, actually, is it got pushed back. Because it was initially slated for a different release, and they were like, we think we need more time to make sure this game is, highest quality, so we're going to push it back by X amount of time.
Yeah,
And so it came out in March as a result of that.
Yeah, but it totally shows because there's so much polish on it too.
Oh no, it's so great.
It's I like that because it seems like Animal Crossing is a game that Nintendo has chosen to adapt the most readily, because there's a very ardent fan base for Animal Crossing, not just now, but there always kind of has been because if you look online, the people that love Animal Crossing love it. They are obsessed with it.
Yes.
And it's just I don't know. I think it's just recently seeing the amount of creativity that it encourages within the community, especially being able to share designs with people. That's awesome. There's so much about it that I really enjoy. And I'm glad that it's doing well. Not that it wouldn't be, but...
Yeah. I think one of my favorites is the wild shit people do with terraforming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In particular, the one that obviously springs to mind is someone made the... the map of their world of their island look like Danny DeVito.
I saw one that looked like Blathers looking at a fossil where it's he's holding the helix thing and it says hoo hoo. It's so cute. I loved it.
Man, people
it takes a lot of patience. I don't know how they even thought to map that out, but it's great.
That's really funny. What's also funny is I saw on the other end of the spectrum a tweet. Someone was like, I asked my boyfriend how he has almost 600 hours on Animal Crossing when he hasn't done any terraforming, barely put any paths down. What have you been doing for 600 hours? And his response was just, I like fishing.
Yep. Yeah, I think I saw that one this morning. I was like, yeah, pretty much.
I mean,
that makes sense.
That I think the first 50 hours.
Yeah.
Well before I got into terraforming, I was just I'm just going to fish a lot.
I mean, it's honestly one of the easiest way to churn for bells, especially when you don't have a ton of recipes and DIY things yet. So
I would love if this so I wish this movie had an official Western release because I would absolutely just put this on in the background all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's something that's very low stakes. I don't have to pay attention to it, and I can just kind of like tune in like, oh yeah, this is where they put like 1,000,000 pitfall seeds on the path, and every fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry falls in it.
Yeah, I mean, I would like that aspect, like, and you kind of see like hints towards that in the credits too, because there's a few stills of like continued island life, like seeing Sally's designs in the
Able shop,
the Able sisters tailor shop. Like that kind of stuff is really cute. Like I would have liked to see them expand on that a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, so it's in some ways this movie is just about. I mean, it's fun.
It's a perfectly fine film. It's just a shame that we don't have an official English or just like a release outside of Japan because we found this online. There is a fan dub of it on YouTube. I haven't listened to it. It's probably okay. But I wanted to find the original one because like obviously that's what we wanted to review. So yeah. But I don't understand why they didn't, you know? Like, this came out, like, the movie itself was released, let me see here.
December 16th, 2006.
Yes, and then the DVD itself came out on July 25th, 2007. So, I don't think there's any real reason that they haven't been able to put it out. Maybe they just didn't think it would be a big enough release, or it's just so niche that they didn't really want to worry about it.
Yeah, I think it was probably that they felt it was probably too niche of a choice for Western audiences, and in some ways they're not.
I guess.
I think it would have been like a very like. I don't think it would have done well in 2007. I think it'd be doing fine now.
I think like for contrast, it probably would have been competing with like what Sonic X. Like, wasn't that roughly around the same time? Like maybe a little bit later, but. I don't know. Also, that or there may have not been an appropriate platform for them to put it on to something too.
That's true.
Because this is right before streaming stuff really started picking up. It would have had to be straight to DVD anyway. You'd probably only be able to get in like an FYE or a GameStop or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I could see them doing. Actually, I would love to see that. Is if who is it that does like who did Promare the dub and all that?
Oh, G-Kids.
G-Kids. I'd love to see G-Kids pick this up.
I don't know if they could afford the license from Nintendo.
Probably not. Probably not. But I just, I'm just like spitballing. I think that'd be a really fun idea.
You know what? I think that once the Illumination Super Mario film comes out, that like, Grant, I want it to be good. I want it to be decent. I don't have a lot of faith in Illumination, but I don't know. Maybe if that thing picks up, then they might think to like re-release some of those films or put them on DVD. Because like honestly, arguably the same thing happened. Like once people realized that there was a big market for Ghibli movies, then they started re-releasing stuff like Pompoko. I hadn't heard of only yesterday. Up until they started like re-releasing those films, so it could happen. I'm not overly optimistic, but you can still find it readily online if you really want to watch it. So.
It's perfectly fine. Give it a watch if you're an Animal Crossing fan. If not,
just play.
Probably not going to be a lot for you. Yeah, just play the game.
And that's the thing is that like I like the game. I can see why someone wouldn't like it because Kent and I have actually been doing this simultaneously. We're like we'll trade off. Like I'll play Animal Crossing for a bit, and then he'll play Red Dead Redemption 2. And I'm just like it's like Animal Crossing but for straight white dudes. He's like, yeah, a little bit.
God bless you.
It's a little bit. Well, that or City Skylines, but I don't know. City Skylines is a little bit less fun because you can't actually interact with characters. So
yeah, that's the thing. That's one thing. One of my friends asked me about Animal Crossing, and she's like, "Is it like The Sims?" And I was like, "Yeah, except you're like directly doing shit."
Yeah, and you can actually. One of my favorite parts about it is just being able to socialize with your villagers and send stuff. Like I love sending you guys stuff too. Like, if you like, I didn't realize how many of my friends had a Switch to begin with. But like, actually, after getting them, I'm like, holy fuck! There's like 9 people I know on here already. So
it's wild.
I got the game out of peer pressure, but I stayed because I loved it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I think that about does it for us in the Animal Crossing movie.
Yeah, that's all I've got.
Yep. So as always, thank you for listening. Tracy, where can they find you online?
Thank you, Robin. They can find me via @TCTroush on Instagram or on Twitter. We put our shows up on YouTube, so if you just look for it, they should auto-upload once a new episode goes on there. I'm still working on my website. I'm still sketchy because the whole shipping situation thing, but I just need to fucking do it. I've been dragging my feet, and I just got to do it. So,
just pull that trigger.
Yeah, I know. And how about you, Robin? Where can they find you?
As always, you can find me on lobster_writer on Twitter and lobster writer on Instagram. By the time this is up, there will be at least one episode up of another podcast that I started doing called Tabletop Buffoonery, which is me and two of our best friends, Josh and John, playing D&D. Josh and John don't know how to play D&D, and so it's been an interesting adventure of them almost resisting playing D&D while doing just the role-playing aspect of it.
Just the idea of you attempting to corral them and trying to explain what it is, and they're just like kids that don't want to put on their PJs late at night when they need to go to bed.
There's 100% that moment in the episode I was working on last week because they asked like an NPC about something. Like they're like, "Oh, can you tell us about this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can." And like John's like, "Or we could just skip it." And I was like, "I mean, I don't have to." He's like, "No, tell me about the thing." It was so funny. They just felt like it was very obviously like, "Oh, you don't have to. Like,
you don't gotta do it or whatever. It's okay.
Yeah,
no big deal."
It was very
Shit.
funny. Yeah, but you can
I'm
find
excited
that.
to hear that. That sounds
that'll
like a
come
lot of
out. Yeah, so you can find that podcast on Twitter at Tabletop Buffoon.
Nice.
And it'll be on my Twitter as well. So
sick.
Look forward to that.
Yeah. Hopefully by the time that this goes out, they're going to start loosening some of the restrictions around here. But I still, I don't know. I just don't know yet. I want to wait till the CDC tells me what to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to go back outside to like a restaurant, but who knows?
I don't want to kill someone's grandpa unless they're racist. Well, no, I still don't want to kill someone's grandpa, but hopefully they will reevaluate their racism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it for me.
Yep.
Thank you, as always, thank you so much for listening, and we will talk at you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to another episode of Not Joanna Eggs. Our intro music is Don't Hold My Breath by Ben Briggs, and the outro is Wet Dreams by Phonetic Hero. Both were found on ocremix.org. If you enjoyed this podcast, please remember to like and subscribe on whatever platform you use. Not Joanna Eggs, because animation is for everyone. Thanks.
Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme. Let's get down. It's podcast time.
Nice.